You're in the kitchen. End of the day, something spills, or a kid pushes, or the noise just gets to be too much. And then a sentence comes out of your mouth. And it isn't yours. It's his. The tone, the words, the exact flat edge you swore you'd never use on a kid. You hear your father in your own voice. And for 1 second, standing there, you go cold because you spent your whole life promising that you'd be different. Stay with me and I'll show you the 10 seconds that stop that sentence before it leaves your mouth. Something you can use tonight. But first, you need to see what's really going on because it's not what you think. You know the scene. You've lived a version of it. The sigh when you walked in the door as a kid, the back of a head that wouldn't turn around. Because I said so. Or I'm fine, said in a voice that told you that nothing was fine and you better not ask again. Maybe he worked himself to the bone for you. Maybe he never missed a bill, never missed a day, put food on the table his whole life, and was still somehow not in the room. Harry Chapin, he wrote a song about this in 1974, Cats in the Cradle. A father always too busy, a boy who just wants his time, and a kick in the chest at the end. The boy grows up, and now he's the one with no time for his father. Same distance, handed straight down. And that's the part that gets you. It doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like muscle memory. So let me tell you what the research actually says, because it matters. In 2025, a team from Utrecht University and Oregon State pulled together 2 generations of parenting across more than 12,000 families and published it in Psychological Bulletin. They found the way you were parented does carry forward into the way you parent, the warmth and the coldness both. But the link they measured was small. Hear that, because it's the whole video. The pattern leans towards repeating, but it's not a sentence already handed down to you. Your father didn't go cold because he was a bad man. He got handed something too, by a man who got it handed before him. No villain in this story, just a chain nobody in the line knew how to set down. And right now, in your house, your kid is learning what a father is from you tonight, which is exactly why the next part matters so much. So why does the old voice come back, even when you meant every promise you made? Well, because a tired man runs on automatic, and automatic is whatever you grew up inside. When you got nothing left, you don't reach for the father you decided to be. You reach for the one that's already wired in. The factory setting. The one installed before you had any say. I know this one from the inside. I know what it is to hear a voice come out of you that you didn't choose and to feel sick about it afterwards. That feeling is not proof you're a bad father. It's proof you're awake. A man who didn't care wouldn't flinch. You flinched. Hold on to that. So here are the 10 seconds. The thing you can do tonight. It happens at the door or the hallway or the second right before you answer. The moment you feel the heat climbing your neck and the old sentence load itself into your mouth. Before it fires, put a hand flat on something, the door frame, the counter, your own leg, and you take one breath slower than the moment wants you to take. That's it. One hand, one breath, 10 seconds. Long enough for the thinking part of you to catch up with the wired part. Now, you won't get this right every time. You'll blow past it and snap anyway. That's coming, and that's fine, because catching it was never the whole job. The next part is. Most men think the goal is to never lose it, to be the father who never snaps. So the first time they snap anyway, they decide they failed and they quit. And nobody ever told them the part that matters. Now, Edward Tronick spent decades at the University of Massachusetts watching parents and babies. And what he found is that good parents and their kids fall out of sync constantly. The connection breaks all day long. That's normal. That's every parent who's ever lived. Now, what builds a kid who feels safe is not a father who never breaks the connection. It's a father who comes back and mends it. The breaking isn't the damage. Walking off and leaving it broken is. So you snapped at him. Go back in. 10 minutes later, calm, and sit down and say it plainly. Hey, I was short with you back there. That was me being tired. It wasn't about you. I'm sorry. No speech, no grand apology. 3 sentences that a kid can actually hold. The first time you go back in, it'll feel clumsy. You might not have the words. Your kids might just shrug. Do it anyway, because you're not doing it for a reaction. You're doing it so the walk back becomes the thing your kid comes to expect. Here's what your kid is taking from in those 10 minutes. Not that dad never gets angry. He already knows that's not true. They learn that when a man who loves them breaks the connection, he comes back and fixes it. They learn love can survive the hard moments. That's the inheritance you hand down instead. That's the chain set down in your own kitchen on a regular Tuesday night. You are not the dad you swore you'd never become. You're a tired man who heard an old voice and didn't want it in his house. That's a different man entirely. Good men don't break the chain by being perfect. They break it by catching the old sentence and going back in when they miss, one ordinary night at a time. If this put words to something that you felt in your own kitchen, leave a comment and tell me. It helps another father find it. Give it a like. Send it to a man who needs it. And subscribe so the next one finds you when you need it. Your father handed you what he was handed. You get to hand down something else. Start tonight with one hand, one breath, and walk back into the room.